So just start with linebackers, and everybody wants to know about Will because that seems like it's a battle.
Yep.
So how's that going?
It's going good. It is a battle. We've got multiple guys competing for the position right now. Obviously, through graduation, that position's open. Kind of carried over from spring ball, some of the same faces, but it's really an open job. Mixing and matching those groups, going against the ones, the twos, and the threes, and every day is a little bit different package as far as who's going with which groups. Preparing them for basically tomorrow night when we scrimmage, and giving them, obviously we've had a lot of live opportunities to get evaluations, but kind of gearing everything towards this second week where we have to start making some decisions, but giving them an opportunity to learn it and to do it. But we are cross-training guys and giving multiple guys opportunities, and we're going to kind of see kind of how they rank 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and that's how we're going to approach it. And they understand that, and they're working hard.
Let's look at Jaito and Trey. What do they do?
Jairo and Trey played, in the spring at the position, kind of went back and forth with that. Jairo, making the transition from defensive back to outside linebacker to now playing our will. He's about a year and a half into it, really made progress last year, live action and teams, which we've talked about on special teams. Brings a great element in coverage, understanding, because he's just done that more, and has really progressed in the run game as well. And then, the thing I can't understate or can't overstate is what Mike Joseph and his staff, and I say that every year with you guys, but this is by far the most improvement we've seen size-wise. You look at a guy like Jairo now who's 221, 222 pounds, who played at 214 pounds last year. He put on 7 pounds of muscle and gained speed. Travis Lathan's sitting there at 226 pounds. He's almost 11 pounds bigger than he played last year and faster. So him and his staff, Coach Mike Joseph and his staff, did a phenomenal job getting those guys ready. So Jairo's using that, and you can see that on film. He's playing bigger and still progressing. And then Trey, we were able to redshirt Trey last year. He played in 4 games, played some meaningful snaps in those games. He's a product of our development program with our Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football that we do, and you could see the progress coming, and to play the snaps that he played in the Oklahoma State game and then go through a spring and then carry that momentum into the summer. You can see that. I had a nice play yesterday. We had a 3rd and 2, and he ran through a gap and made a nice tackle for loss, and it was good to see him pull his pin right there, and he's doing that more and more and more every day. So excited about where they're coming, and we're putting them in those situations, pressure situations, and they're gonna continue to progress.
Decision making, playmaking, technique. What am I missing, or what are those qualities that you're looking for the guy that's going to start?
Yeah, it's all of the above, but above everything else is going to be effort and physicality. Effort and physicality is going to be what decides it. We got to have guys that play within the defense. We talk about 1/11th constantly in that, not to be cliche, but they got to do their job. But at the end of the day, if they're not playing physical and they're not playing with a relentless effort, they're not going to play. And so that's number one. And then if the ball's to me, did I make the play or did I not? Every day we make a point of attack grade tape. So, you don't just get credit for being on the backside of the play and I was there, I didn't mess anything up, but I did my job. No, did you make the play when you were at the point of attack? Did you force the ball to the correct place at the point of attack? Did you spill the ball where you should have spilled it at the point of attack? And did you make the tackle? And we got to be able to make tackles at the position. So effort and physicality, and then production.
Just how well they complement what Lee does, play and do it all, just because he's going to be such a big part of.
Yeah, not necessarily as far as a compliment. We want 2 productive inside linebackers that can run and hit and do those things. There's a communication part to this pre-snap. That's huge, that Lee has taken, kind of by command, being the Mike linebacker. And yeah, we want somebody that can echo those calls and be right there next to him to make those calls. But at the end of the day, he's in his alignment. We got to have another guy in his alignment doing the 1/11th and playing physical and fast and, competing.
As far as the return game, Coach Brown talked about, kind of highlighted Beanie Bishop and Polk. Kind of seems like it's between those 2.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on those 2, and is that the case?
Yeah, it's like Coach Brown said. They've both kind of solidified their spot in the competition. They're doing really well. I think they're seeing it. They can both run. They both have played at a high level. So I'm excited to see, again, we're going to put them in some more pressure situations here in the next 4 or 5 days, where it's not just look teams. It's not just kind of teach tempo. It's we got guys coming down on kickoff team that are on the depth chart, and we got to make blocks, and we got to make those guys miss that are going to play in games. So we're going to continue to evaluate them, but I'm really, really excited about both of them and what they bring. Obviously, it was part of the evaluation process. They're both here because they had those skills alongside of their receiver and DB skills. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where they're going to go in the next week.
Going back to cross-training, I guess who are those candidates being? Are you doing that for the purpose of depth or maybe to find a starter?
All the above. Yeah, we're going to have depth. I'm going to have as many as 6 guys traveling this year at inside linebacker, which I've never had since I've been here, with the combination of special teams and being in the 2 deep or 3 deep at linebacker. So, and then you add on top of that different subgroups, whether we're in a one linebacker set, a 2 linebacker set, a 3 linebacker set, depending on what the offense is in. So we're going to have more flexibility. So it's one of those deals, yeah, there's a competition for a starter, but I've got more able bodies and more able experience that can play than I've ever had in the room. So, you talk about Jairo, you talk about Trey Lathan, talk about Tariq Austin-Cave, Caden Beiser, who's in his 3rd year, and has made a lot of headway and is a big-time contributor on teams as a core player. And then Ben Carter as a true freshman, been here since January and can run, can hit, is smart, and has made plays. So, we've got all realms of ages and things. And with everybody increasing their size. Look at a guy like Ben Cutter, who got here at 212, is 227 pounds right now. And the guys are all big enough and fast enough and strong enough to play. Now it's a matter of going back to what we talked about earlier. Who's going to play the hardest, who's going to be the most physical, and who's going to, be able to produce at the end of the play.
And some of the special team stuff we saw today, did something that you or Neil were very pleased with, some punts, some kicks, some snaps, things like that.
Fair.
Okay, I was going to ask you, your evaluation, but maybe kind of what we see is what we got there.
Yeah. Excuse me. So on the kickoff return, we're trying to get a kick that we can return. The good thing is that we are hitting more touchbacks, so we're trying to get the drill done. Well, we have a rule for our returners, so we didn't get as many reps in that period as we wanted to get, just because we are asking that guy to put the ball in a small area, and he wasn't really able to do that during that drill. So that was some of that frustration. And then the punters right now, our locations, have been really, really good. Ali has continued to really be good in his pooch situations. We only had 2 touchbacks all of last year, one which wasn't his fault, which is a much improved area for us, and he's been steady with that for the most part. And then, and I'll tell you what, Leighton Bechtel, as the number 2 punter right now, has really gotten a hold of some balls the last couple of days. It's really fun to watch his improvement too. And again, some of that goes back to Mike Joseph and his staff, but he's coming along as well. So I will tell you that's the first time this camp where there's been some frustration. I will say that. We've been pretty pleased for the most part. But like anything else, we got to continue to progress.
You mentioned, I think it was yesterday, the other day, about being a fair catch punt team. What is a good fair catch percentage that you're shooting for?
Yeah, I would love to be over 60%. I think that's an attainable goal. We were close to that. The thing that Ollie does is he puts so many different spins on the ball, and his ball is very difficult to catch. If you go back to last year, there was a lot of guys that caught his ball as they were falling down because they can't judge it, and that's a part of the Aussie part of that. But we want those fair catches, but they got to have the hang time. And people think about it, well, we want to get 50-yarder, 50-yarder, 50-yarder. Well, you can hit a 50-yarder, but it has 3.8 hang time. Well, they've got plenty of time to catch that and return it. Where he was really good last year, we had the 40, I think it was 41 or 42 net. I think it was a 41 net, but he had a 4.0 or more hang time. Like, you can't return that. There's going to be somebody in your face. So we want to lead the country in fair catches while we get that net punt more in that 42, 43, which will put us top 5 in the country.
Return yardage last year.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
It's excellent. Yeah, obviously that's something we're trying to build on. And the guys have taken ownership in that, and that was one of our strengths. For some of the things that we've got to really get improved on, that's one of our strengths. And punt coverage defense has been a strength pretty consistently.
You mentioned the scrimmage in terms of the will linebacker. How much does the scrimmage matter for special teams?
A lot. Yeah, we're now in this one, we're going to be able to put some guys where it's the first punt, and then we'll, again, on the opposite side, rather than have young look guys that are kind of giving us a look to teach progressions and protections and things like that, we're going to put some of our punt block guys out there, and now they're going to block and they have to protect against our guys that are rolling, and they're going to have to hold up against or cover the punt against guys that are trained in boxing out and locking out and using those techniques into the down. So we'll get an accurate evaluation for the returners, but also our punt coverage team and our punt protection team. Now take that across all our units. Kickoff versus kickoff return versus our kickoff. So this scrimmage will be huge for our evaluation for a lot of guys, and we're going to put some young guys that have shown up, not just since they got here in January, but even this summer. And whether they're transfers, high school kids, these are the situations that we can put them in. You know, and the other side of that too, and I've talked about it before and with y'all, is these competitions. You know, we don't necessarily do the amount of competitions that we do in the spring, which are more of the drill work in an isolated, kind of controlled setting to kind of see the guys who can compete against really good competition. Now we'll do some of those competitions, but now we've got to be able to see them do it in 11 on 11, and can he fit off the guy next to him and you know, make a game second decision, you know, in a live setting. So, and then you put it in the stadium and, you know, add that pressure to it and kind of see how they react.
Jeff, with this you're talking about, do you have a target where you'd like to be, say, no more than 2 special teams? You know, maybe even 1 special team for certain guys?
For the guys that are playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that from Coach Brown to the coordinators down to the position coaches, that's something that we'll meet on constantly, and the guys will understand kind of our mentality on that. Everybody's fair game on special teams. It's a matter of what maximizes their reps during that game, and are we using the best? Are we making the best use out of those reps each and every game? And if a guy's playing, what does his reps look like on offense or defense? Where has he been able to contribute on special teams? Is he a 1-unit guy? Is he a 2-unit guy? Is he a 50-50 guy on a unit where we got him with another starter and they're kind of going half and half? All those things are constantly being evaluated on a daily basis and communicated to the player so that they understand that. So it's like a natural progression. You want to get on the bus, and then once you're on the bus, you want to become a starter. And once you become a starter, how can you maximize your productivity for that game? And we're doing that through all 3 phases.
Have you ever had a guy that was a starter or a heavy workload guy, but for whatever reason they were just so good at it, didn't get tired, they could be on 3?
3 is probably a bit much. 2 is usually the limit.
Along those lines, the bulk of your coverage guys are corners, safeties, linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any offensive guys that, you know, obviously because they can tackle, do you have any of those offensive guys that have that ability?
Yeah, and there's a couple. There's a couple that we've identified and we're going to put them in some of these situations tomorrow, and we have already in some of these competitions, and they've shown up. And then there's a couple of guys that, you know, they really didn't get an opportunity in competitions, and we're going to throw them out there and see if they can do it. At the end of the day, when it comes to offensive guys on cover units, obviously it's can they get the ball down. They just don't practice that as much as the other guys, even though we do practice it. I think you guys were out there today and you saw us. We're working tackling drills, and we do as good as anybody in the country, I think, of doing crossover with offensive guys are skilled in tackling and they understand how to do it and how to leverage the ball. Defensive guys with ball security and, you know, post interception, post takeaway. So they are trained, but just not as much. So we got to get them out there, kind of see. There is a mentality aspect to it, but I do like. There's a couple guys that have shown up and they've got that mentality. They want to go down and they want to get some, which is fun. You know. Well, let me get them. Let me see if they're going to get them first. All right. I'm not trying to dodge the question, but I also don't want to put them out there, and we got some more evaluation to do.
Michael Hayes,
Mm-hmm.
the transfer. Obviously, you had a lot of accuracy with Casey Lake the last couple of years.
Yeah.
You talked about Hayes hit a couple 50-yarders.
Yeah.
What have you seen in him? And it appears he has a boomstick, but
Yeah.
is the accuracy as much there as it's been the last couple of years?
Yeah, so-
it's hard to not
Yeah.
think from that.
No.
Casey was.
Yeah, Casey was phenomenal accuracy and did a great job for us. Been really, really happy with where Michael is right now with his accuracy. Obviously, he's got a big leg. He's got a strong leg. He's got a very fast leg. But he's been accurate. He's been making those kicks. I think Coach talked about it a couple days ago, and he's continued to do that. Hit another really good one today, 1 or 2, excuse me. So very, very pleased with where Michael is. He does have big shoes to fill, but he hasn't blinked, and he's done a great job to this point.
At a competition for specialists, how do they kind of push each? Because you know we talk about quarterbacks, they push each other. How do the kickers kind of push each other?
Oh, it's nonstop. It's nonstop. You got to think now too, and when they're not in a specialist period, when they're over there and they're doing their drill work and they're over there, and again, and you guys are tired of hearing me talk about it, but they're over there on the track man and they're comparing their leg speed and their ball strike and their velocity and their rotations, and it's every kick, and that's the good thing, and they're just pushing each other constantly. So it's a great room. Him, Danny, Leighton, Ollie, all those guys, they get after it and they understand. The good thing is that there's no gray in the numbers because of the technology. I mean, it is what it is. You either make it, you miss it, and you either have the distance or you don't. So, they're having fun getting after it, and very low ego room and fun to coach.
Neil has raved on Lee Toba a lot, really since last year, but his improvement this year, where do you see him?
Lee, number one, in the meeting room, Lee is doing as good a job as anybody I've ever coached right now in the meeting room, asking questions, taking notes, and not just notes like I took in college. You know what I'm saying? Not paraphrasing. I mean, he's writing paragraphs of information, and it was funny. I gave him a hard time yesterday. I stole his notebook from him, and I was reading it, and I was very happy to see it. But it was verbatim things that I was saying, and that just shows growth in that part of it, in that area. So, and then the work that he's done with his flexibility, the work that he's done with his lateral movement. It shows. He committed this summer to that, and he's going to continue to do so. So Lee's been steady. He's definitely a leader. He has a voice, and he loves to play. And people feed off his energy and how hard he plays.
He seems like let's talk about him being the leader. He seems like a personality guy.
Absolutely.
Just people are attracted to him.
Yeah. He's a personality guy. Very rarely does he have a bad day, which people gravitate to that when you're a positive person. And, he does try to relate to everybody. I think everybody on our team and on our defense feels like they can talk to him, they can relate to him. So he's got that for sure.
How much you keep Josiah Trotter engaged in your room?
Constantly. Josiah is in a situation right now as a freshman. Obviously, he's not going to be able to play this year, but he loves football so much. And he's in the meetings. He's at the walkthroughs. He's doing his treatment, obviously, his rehab protocol. But he's a guy that'll come and we'll eat lunch, and then him and I will go watch film together while the other guys are getting their recovery, because obviously he's not in that position right now. But he'll come in and we'll watch film and kind of make him go through the calls. He'll make the calls. He'll ask questions. Even though he's not playing, he still asks the most questions of anybody in the room. And challenges in a positive way, So really, really happy with what he's done to this point, staying aggressive with the game, not just with his rehab, but with the game. And that's going to be obviously something that's going to help him in the spring and coming back.
Is that something you worry about, whether you're going to keep him engaged?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, why did he come here? He came here to play football. He came here to play football and go to school, and you kind of get that taken away from you. Obviously, nobody wants that. And he's in a situation where he was really kind of the only one. I mean, everyone else is probably going to have a chance to come back and do that this year and be able to have a chance to contribute. And he's kind of on his own little island right now, but he's not. He's there. We're all with him, and he's done a great job of staying engaged and doing that. So yeah, that is definitely a concern, but. This is his family away from home, and he knows that. And we're all putting arms around him and continuing to progress with him.
Going back to Beanie versus Polk, you mentioned talking to the coordinators, their coaches, about which players contribute. I mean, one difference that jumps out is, and Neil's talked about, Beanie's going to be a major contributor on defense, and if not, one of the top players on defense, where this might be where how Polk contributes to the entire team. Does that at all play into any decision making? Do you talk to their coaches and be like, do you want a guy like Beanie in this role, since he might be, a major factor to your defense?
I think that kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier with the balance of contributing on offense and defense and the ability to affect the game on special teams. Now, you're talking about in a return game. I mean, you got the ball in your hands for 6 to 8 seconds, and you're trying to go make something special happen. There is a collision part to that, but you want to have guys that want that opportunity, and Beanie wants it. Polk wants it. And so when it comes to returners, at the end of the day, we got to do better at kickoff return. We got to have productivity. We got to have better starting field position, which I know Coach Brown's talked about. And that's one of those positions where the best guy is going to do it. And, we're going to rely on that, and then we'll figure out the rest of it after that.
You mentioned Leighton Bechtel a couple times.
Yeah.
I think on the roster he's listed as a long pitcher. Is he doing all three?
No, he's not. So he did last year. We got a young guy, McGuire Moss, who's in his redshirt freshman year, who's come on as another snapper that's shown that he can handle it. So Leighton's our full-time punter now. But last year, that's kind of how it played out. We had signed a freshman, McGuire, wasn't quite ready yet. Leighton picked it up and learned it, which kudos to him, and did a great job. And in several games last year, he was our backup snapper. So selfless guy, loves West Virginia, loves being a Mountaineer, and works his rear end off, and really, really couldn't be prouder of him. So to see him kind of do that, go from punter, learn how to long snap, and do a really good job with it, and now be able to go back to punting full time, and now see him progress in punting, which is what he wants to do, obviously, has been really fun. It just shows you some of the character and the quality of guys that we've got on this team, and he's a great example of that.
I got to ask you this. I know you don't coach him, but he's on your defense. What's your thoughts on Aubrey Burks?
Aubrey, the thing that stands out about Aubrey right now through, what is this, day 8, I think, it's Groundhog Day. But through day 8, the guy has practiced his rear end off, and he just can't get enough. Coach Wright has to throw him off the field to give him a break. He talks, he understands. He's still a young player, but he understands what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it. I feel like every day he's got a takeaway, and he's making plays. And you kind of see last year he was productive, but he wasn't necessarily making those big time plays. And now it's like he's productive and he's making plays. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. He really starting to understand it. And it's not necessarily because he's, the biggest, fastest kid. It's because he understands it at another level than he did. And testament to Coach Dante Wright and what he's done with him. But it's been fun to watch. And again, it's been the energy and energizing for our defense.
And, takeaways was the Achilles heel
Yeah.
last year. That's been a big difference this year.
It's
right?
been a point of emphasis, obviously, for the entire defense from Jordan down. And, whether that's, getting the ball out for takeaways or interceptions. And so we make a big deal out of it. If you guys are out there or if y'all are out there and you see it, you're going to see a sideline. You're going to see coaches coming off the sideline. You're going to see energy because it's a big deal. And it's been fun because there has been more.
Cutter's high school tackle totals. Like 500 tackles or something like that.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Oh,
And it's not like small school football either.
No, he won a 3A state championship, went 16-0, which is the second largest classification in North Carolina. At the end of the day, Ben's a ball chasing, ball hawk guy, high energy. He plays big. He plays fast. He's learning the speed of the college game. But for a young guy right now, I've been really happy with his transition and how he's worked and learned. But yeah, coming out of high school, he's what you want. I mean, he's a find the ball guy. He did multiple things for his high school. He played running back on top of that. He was their punter, faked a few punts for yardage. So, I mean, he was a do-all guy, athlete that's big and physical. So, really excited about what he's going to have an opportunity to contribute this year and in the future.
He'll be somewhere, I'm guessing, right? I mean, maybe he's not starting at will, but he could be on special teams.
Yeah, I mean, he is right in the mix. He is right in the mix on multiple special teams and on defense.
So, yeah, probably won't talk a lot about the year, but who seems to be very good, Austin Brinkman.
Mm-hmm.
At long snapper, it shows my ignorance.
No.
How do you improve at long snapper?
Well, you're talking, and it's funny, and it's a great point you make. So everybody talks about location and velocity. How fast is the ball getting back there, and where is he hitting? Well, the thing that he's done a great job of is, and we're going to move Ollie around for the long snapping. What he's able to do to lead Ollie. It's like a quarterback leading a receiver on an out route, knowing that the defensive back is on the inside and he's got to lead him to the sideline. It's no different. He knows where that punt's going and where he can, put the ball in the hip pocket wherever Ali is going, and to understand that is really elite for him. His velocity is already at an elite level, and his locations have been great. So that's really where now it's kind of even more so scheme-wise as it is anything else. And then field goals, believe it or not, I mean, there's the detail of rotations on the football so that the holder can get it where he doesn't have to spin it to put the laces out. An elite 7-yard or 8-yard long snapper for field goals can do that, and he can time the rotations, something that he's continuing to work on and continue to progress on. So it makes it even easier for the hold, which obviously makes the operation time for field goals even faster. So he's a stud. I love watching him work, and it's fun watching him progress.
Back to Stroh, can he truly punt with either foot?
Yeah, he can do it all. It's just a matter of what we need that game, and he's been able to do it all. It's just a matter of what we want.
Okay, anything else, Coach? All right, thank you very much.
Thank y'all.